Alright. How's everyone doing today? Just taking a quick look. Just want to make sure I'm set up properly. Haven't gone live in a long time. I'm not exactly sure how many people are on this call. Could be just me. If you're here, leave a message, let me know. Let's go over a couple of charts. The first one I have up is Luna. I went over this just a couple hours ago, but I want to go through again because it's important for us to just master these basics. Now, we don't need to know where the market is going to make money, but we need to identify high probability setups. This chart still exhibited a nice series of higher highs and higher lows above that 200 moving average. What we have here, market starting to pull back, okay? If you compare this chart with Bitcoin, this is still the stronger chart, simply because the price is still trading above that 200 moving average on the daily chart. Now looking at some pullbacks, I'm going to remove some of these symmetry support. Looking at these pullbacks right here, this pullback, if I were to use this tool, clicking from that pivot high to pivot low, this pullback $46 and some change. Over here, I have another pullback. This one also pulled back. This one 44. So we got a pullback $44, $46, very similar in dollar amount. Now, as a trader, we're looking for high probability setups. To do that, we're simply looking to see if the pattern could repeat itself over and over again on a chart. I can click from that pivot high, pivot high, provide the first price relationship. Over here, I have another pullback, similar in dollar amount. So that provides two price relationships. In addition, I can use my Fib retracements. Clicking from this pivot low to pivot high, when I make this pull, also provides a 618 retracement slightly below that cluster symmetry support. What I like to see with Luna is a pullback into this pocket of potential support. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm looking to see if I can take advantage of this pullback, and from here, they're giving me a trigger to go long on the 15-minute time frame. Now, if it starts to break below that cluster symmetry support, that means there's nothing for me to do on this chart. I abandon the chart altogether and I find another chart that I like to see, or exhibiting the behavior that I want to see. So that's with Luna. You can see on the hourly chart, we are breaking below that 200 moving average on the hourly chart, which is a series of lower highs and also lower lows. Now, if we're going to compare this chart, okay, so this is Luna. I'm going to flip over to Bitcoin. If you take a quick look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's been exhibiting weakness below that 200 moving average on the daily chart. So compared to Luna, this is a much weaker chart. Now, I also identify some potential pullbacks. Looking at these pullbacks in the chart's history, projected to this new recent high. From here, that provided a potential pullback right around 36,600, 500 and some change, this pocket right here. So with Bitcoin, I'm also looking for a pullback in dollar amount similar to this one over here, this one over here. From here, this would be also a counter trend. A counter trend because you're trading below all these moving averages, trading below that 200 moving average on the daily chart, as well as the hourly chart. And you're trying to go long off of this chart, looking for a potential oversold condition. Now, when you're doing something like this, you want to position size in small, right? Because you're going counter trend, and that's what counter trend is all about. With Ethereum over here, it's also exhibiting weakness. Over here, price came up, got up slightly above that 200 moving average above that daily chart. Stayed up there 3 days. From here, continues to sell off. And over here, I had a potential area support. That support was around 3,100 and some change. From here, continues to sell off. So right now, there's nothing for me to do with Ethereum. I have to anticipate and look for a deeper pullback if I want a counter trend. Now, I don't necessarily have to go counter trending. I can go with the trend. I can look for a deeper pullback, and from here, I'm looking for a pullback to the upside. I'm finding some symmetry resistance. Okay, so I want to make that clear. There are a couple of things that could happen. One, I could look for a pullback. Now there are deeper pullbacks such as ones like this. Pivot high, pivot low, pivot high, right? But this is only a single price relationship. I gotta go back on the history of this chart, continue to find that price pullback that's also similar with this. I gotta find a combination of symmetry supports and also Fibonacci retracements that matches up against that first area. And from here, and that would be a counter trend. Now, price could also sell off a little bit more and then pull them back, okay? Kind of like a pullback like this before selling off even more. Kind of like ones like this, price went up and continues to sell off. So this could staircase further down, and you can take advantage of these price sell-offs by looking for symmetry resistance and also fib retracements that matches up with those symmetry resistance. So here's an example on the hourly chart. For example, if I want to go short with this chart, okay? Going short with this chart could look something like this. Just on where price is currently trading at now. Going to click from this pivot low to pivot high, projecting it to this new recent low. That would be the first price relationship. Over here, I have some other pullbacks, but these pullbacks, taking a quick look, this may match up. Might be still too short, but I'm going to just try it out. Okay, so that's very, very similar in dollar amount. Okay, if I were to take a quick look right here, I'm saying, okay, I'm anticipating more selling off taking place with Ethereum, but I'm not going to just short right here. I'm going to look for some pullbacks to the upside, finding some symmetry resistance. From there, I like to see if that area can hold. Now after you use this particular tool right here, clicking from this pivot low to pivot high. So this move to the upside, $172.30. Over here, do a very, very rough estimate. This one's very close, 168. Okay, so price went up, $168 and some change, starting to sell off. Over here, here's another pattern. Price went up, $172.30, starting to sell off to the downside. So I'm waiting for that pattern to repeat itself instead of just jumping in, because that's what a lot of people do. They're looking at this chart, looking at a lot of headlines, but they're not grounded in their own personal trading plan. They need to know what they're looking for. For me, I'm looking for a 3-price relationship. Right here, this is the 2-price relationship. I click from that pivot low, pivot high, projecting this new recent low. Okay, so that provided me the first price relationship. Over here, I have another pullback. Now, I prefer symmetry support, symmetry resistance over fib retracements because fib retracements, it's pretty arbitrary. You can pull from anywhere, okay? And from there, you can get anything to match up, but that's only a single price relationship. You guys want to be very clear on that because there are a lot of coaches out there that will just look for a single fib retracement and telling people to go short or long, okay? And from here, so right here, if I were to make that pull, there's a 618, okay? So there's a pocket of potential resistance. If Ethereum starts to bounce, I like to see if this area can hold as resistance from here, looking for more downside correction, okay? So these are just things that I look for day in and day out. It doesn't always play out the way that I wanted to. For example, if Ethereum continues to sell off, right, then I just reproject. From here, let's just say Ethereum starts to sell off. Right now, we're looking at right around $3,000. But what if it sells off even more? Let's just say Ethereum sells off to 2,800. We have a sharp move to the downside. From there, all I'm doing, I'm reprojecting. I'm reprojecting this move to the downside, just like that. This is how you start to anticipate, to see the move before the move, okay? To see these moves before the move. That's important if you're taking notes. From here, from that, looking for a pullback into this area, and from there, more downside correction, okay? So this is something that I do day in and day out. You guys know. And it sounds like a broken record. It does seem very, very boring. But boring is what wins in the markets. If you have a repeatable system, if you know what you're looking for day in and day out, that's a very powerful place to be in. Avalanche. I had a setup with Avalanche a couple of days ago, and you can see right now, if you were trading this to the long side, you should be out already. You should be out. Because right here, you can see prices breaking down below that symmetry support, right? And this was a little bit of a counter trend because at this juncture, it was above that 200 moving average on the daily, but below that 200 moving average on the hourly chart. See this juncture right here. So price was over here. And the reason why I like this chart, simply because it was trading stronger than Bitcoin and Ethereum from a technical perspective. We're always looking at making decisions based off a technical perspective. It's a technical decision, not a headline decision. Now you can jump around, you can look at coin market cap, you can look at all the news, coin desk, stuff like that. But that should not enter into your trading plan. It's going to cloud, bring a lot of confusion. So take a quick look at Oasis. So with Oasis, right now there's nothing for me to do, right? So it was exhibiting strength above that 200 moving average on the daily chart, as well as the hourly chart. So you may have a nice move to the upside, you were going long, ratchet up your stops, or you're just taking your small loss once it starts to close below that planned symmetry support. So you should be out of this chart already. You shouldn't be deciding and praying, hoping if this chart's going to perform the way that you want it to. Once it starts unperforming, once it starts once it's not doing the thing that you want it to do, you should be out of the chart. So you can take that psychological capital into another chart. So as you can think clearly from decision to decision. Taking a quick look at Harmony. So what's going on with Harmony? Right here, right? This is a weak chart. Once again, trading below that 200 moving average on the daily as well as the hourly. Now, price is going to start exhibit strength. If it starts to show strength, first they have to climb out of some mess on smaller time frames, which it did. If we looked at a couple of weeks back, it did start to show some strength, right? And start to use that 200 moving average as support. Once it started to pull back, climb it up with a series of higher highs and higher lows. But now, you should be out of this trade. So you were taking Harmony to the long side, for a nice ride to the upside, but you're ratcheting up your stops, So you were moving this horizontal line. Maybe you were down here, moving it up, right? So once it starts to close below, you should be out of the trade. So you're taking some nice profits from here to here, okay? And now what are we doing? We are with a series of lower highs and lower lows. Now this is a very, very weak chart. So if you want to go with the trend, you're looking for symmetry resistance, looking for pullbacks to the upside. From there, you're looking to see if you can short this particular chart with a series of lower highs and lower lows. So mapping out some symmetry resistance, potential symmetry resistance, clicking from that pivot low, pivot high, pivot low, okay? Over here, we have another pullback. Let's see if it's very similar in dollar amount. It's pretty close, okay? What else do we have here? We also have a pullback right here. Pivot low, pivot high, pivot low, okay? So that's another pullback. What else can we do with this chart? We can also use our fib retracements. Clicking from that pivot high to pivot low. Does it provide some retracement areas that's overlapping. We do have a 618. So what I'm anticipating, if I want to go short, a couple of things must happen. Price starts to move back to the upside. Now, I don't just want to jump in here long. I'm looking at this trend. Looking at Harmony, it is trading below that 200 moving average on the daily and hourly chart, exhibiting weakness, series of lower highs and lower lows. This pocket of potential resistance right here, 12 cents, 13 cents. From here, I like to see this area hold, providing me an opportunity to short on a 15-minute time frame. So there's nothing for me to do on this chart until price starts to exhibit this behavior. Okay, so I want to introduce you guys to my Twitter account. I know you guys don't know if you're on Twitter. I had to put quite a bit of content on here. So I'm a high performance coach in Fibonacci swing trading and also weight loss. So I put a lot of my content. Sometimes I upload directly with my videos, but I also talk about weight loss over here as well. So if you're interested in weight loss, go check out this page. I struggle with over 25 pounds of weight for quite a bit of my time. In my 30s, it was a big mess, and this particular page taught me and showed me how I could get out of that mess. So it's definitely very counterintuitive, but I just want to share that with you guys. If you have any questions on that, just hit me up, in Twitter, hit me up in this video in the comments below. But over here, I try to tweet quite often on a daily basis, and it's connected with trading, your mentality. Because a lot of times, it's not just about the charts. It's about your entire life. It's about how you orchestrate your life, the commitments that you make with your life, okay? So if you are breaking promise to yourself, if you're looking at charts and you're breaking your rules and you're just doing whatever you want, and later on during the day you get very frustrated, you want to kind of step back and look at your life and look at what other areas are you also breaking commitments with yourself. Maybe you told yourself that you would go to the gym, maybe go out and exercise, and do those workouts, but you always find a way to find an excuse not to do them. The more that you do that, the more those micro commitments that you don't do for yourself, it's going to show up in your trading platform. It's going to show up in your trading plan, because your cells, your very cells, they're going to start to distrust you, okay? And those are deeper things that we need to work on. A lot of people come into this trading business, they think that they're going to make a lot of money just clicking a few buttons. It's not going to work like that. You're going to find yourself in personal development. You kind of, this business really tricked me into personal development, because I had to look at many other areas of my life which I was not committing to. The areas with my nutrition, my workouts, all around. So once I start to make commitments, the way how I better treated myself, the way that I sleep, and the way I communicate with people, the way that I network, people that I come across, making my perimeter, my boundaries, that is going to come into your trading plan. Because the more you can commit to your own personal life, your own personal development, making those micro commitments daily, you come into this platform, you're going to follow through. You're going to follow through with your trading plan. It's all connected. It's not just, I'm going to make things up as I go along. Because this is what most people do. They make things up as they go along. They make up the trading plan as they go along. And that's going to cause a lot of inconsistency. Taking a quick look at Solana. Okay, what do we have here on this hourly chart? On the hourly chart, trading below that 200 moving average. So these are very objective observations you need to be making on a daily basis. What is the chart doing? Not what I wanted to do, not what CoinDesk is saying, but where is price trading in relation to that 200 moving average? We did have a nice burst to the upside. It was getting up above that 200 moving average on the hourly chart. But since then, starting to trade to the downside, with a series of lower highs and lower lows below that 200 moving average. So you can do the same type of work that I just did with Harmony 1. You can look for some pullbacks to the upside, right? And looking for pockets of symmetry resistance. So you can short this guy to the downside, you know, with perpetual futures or something like that. So you're going with the trend. So despite what everybody else is saying, you know, or influencers, you know, these headlines are saying how Solana is so great. You can go with these NFTs, whatever. Look at the chart. Look at the chart, recognizing that right now, energy is going to the downside. I don't know if you guys remember back in textbooks, algebra, slope, mx plus b, okay? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus. So you guys know what I'm talking about. So over here, the slope is down, all right? So don't be making things up in your mind. Don't look at a bunch of headlines. Price is trading below that 200 moving average on the daily and also hourly chart. So you have to see this chart bearish. Now, if you're just going along with Solana, you know, you're just hauling it for hodl, that's up to you. But just recognizing that right now, if you're trading this, that's why I swing trade, right? Swing trade, I look for strength over here, but with strength back to the upside, price is getting up above that 200 moving average on the hourly chart. And those are opportunities. You can take it if you do find three price relationship, find some pockets of pullback. But right now, it's not exhibiting that behavior any longer. You have to see it to the downside. So we do have somebody here in the live chat. If you have any questions regarding Fibonacci swing trading or any symbols you want me to look at, please just leave in the comment section. I'll be happy to look over charts for you. So Alcoa, I want to go through Alcoa real quick. Right here, what is the chart doing? Exhibiting a series of higher highs and higher lows above that 200 moving average. So over here, I do have some pullbacks, similar in dollar amount, pivot high, pivot low, pivot high. So how this particular works is that if I just right click on this drawing, okay, I only have one selected, which is 100%. This tool right here is called Fibonacci Extensions. From here, I'm looking for another pullback, pivot high, pivot low, pivot high. So these two pullbacks are very similar in dollar amount. This pullback right here, $14.43. Pullback right here, $14.31. From here, I'm going to look for some additional support with fib retracements. When I click from that pivot low to pivot high, it's going to provide a 50% retracement. So that's my three price relationship. I'm not saying this is definitely going to hold, but why do I like this chart on the hourly chart? I have that 200 moving average that is also kind of like working in concert, almost like working with the chart, helping me out. I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but let's just jump over on Yahoo Finance because we can get some insights as to if I want to add on to this position or just leave this chart alone altogether because there's something called pre-market data. This is pre-market. Right now, pull back 41 cents. So 43.74, okay? 43. So right now it's currently trading after market below this cluster. So if that's happening, then I may have to just don't even trade this because it depends on what happens when market opens, right? If we have a huge gap down, there's nothing for me to do. Now, why do I like this pattern so much? I want you to take a quick look at OXY. Back in February, what was this chart doing? A series of higher highs and higher lows. Then it started to pull back. Pull back right here. It was demonstrating a pullback in dollar amount that it demonstrated before. For example, once over here, about a $6 pullback over here, another pullback, $5.42. There was a potential pocket of support right here. From here, going to jump on the hourly chart. we have once again that 200 moving average. So if I'm looking for an ace-ace setup, guys, I'm looking for patterns, looking for pullbacks, looking for some fib retracements that's going to match up with my symmetry support. And from here, I got that conjunction of that 200 moving average on the hourly chart. It's also respecting that. And chart has a higher probability to go long and makes extensions. So now that the chart is exhibiting differently, we can do another example with Goldman Sachs. This is to the short side, okay? And you can find my video reviews of Goldman Sachs. From here, I'm looking for symmetry resistance. I'm going to remove some of these lines temporarily. And from here, over here, we had a pocket of symmetry resistance. So over here, pull back right here. This one's a 31.82 cent pullback over here, 28. And from price went back up to this pocket of potential resistance. But I also had that 200 moving average working in my favor. You see what I mean? So you want to find these really nice setups across the markets. So that's my ace-ace setups. If it's not exhibiting that type of behavior and you're going with the trend, this one is selling off with weakness across the board. Price is trading below 200 moving average on the hourly chart as well as the daily chart. So right now, there's nothing for me to do until I can find the next set of pullbacks. Okay, we may just duplicate one of these guys. I'm going to duplicate this drawing, which is a symmetry resistance from here. Going to reproject it to that new recent pivot low. So over here, I got to find that 3 price relationship. Once again, finding that pocket of 3 price relationship and see how price reacts to that potential area of resistance. I know it's boring, guys. I know I sound like a broken record every single day, but broken records is what works in the markets. It's not about the flash. It's not about going to jump around a whole bunch of coin desks, looking at headlines back and forth, getting yourself confused. You got to be very clear about your own trading plan, knowing exactly what you're looking for from there, position sizing in correctly, so you're not counting on the trend, counting on that trade to pay for your rent. Okay, you're just sizing it correctly, taking your stop loss when you need to, going to your profit extensions, taking that profits off, rolling it back in and day out. So what is your repeatable system? Price is trading to the downside. The slope is going to the downside. I'm not going to jump in here and just buy. It doesn't make sense for me. We're talking about Goldman Sachs, so we're in the financial sector. Taking a quick look, XLF, where's price trading at in relation to the 200 moving average? It is currently below, right? So there's weakness in the finances. Could this weakness roll over into other sectors? I'm not sure. Hey, if you are in the live chat, you can ask me any questions regarding Fibonacci, swing trading, if you have any symbols, cryptocurrencies you want to look at. Be happy to look over them for you. We're just going through these charts. We already talked about Bitcoin, talked about Ethereum, went over Luna. So Luna, this one is a bit of a counter trend because right here we are selling off, getting weakness on that hourly chart. On the daily chart, this is still looking strong above that 200 moving average on the daily. That's the reason why I have that pocket of potential support right around 74.75, okay? And that's the reason. But you have to recognize that this is not the best looking chart because I like to see price trading above that 200 on the daily as well as the hourly chart. Just like back a couple of weeks ago when we looked at OXY, that's the type of pattern I like to look for right here. Price got up above that 200, series of higher highs and higher lows, and when it pulled back, it was still a nice bullish chart because over here in this junction, price was trading above that 200. Over here, we're still establishing a series of higher highs and higher lows, but when it starts to pull back on the hourly chart, you can see right now we are trading below that 200 moving average on the hourly chart, right? So from here, this is where position sizing has to come into play, because now on one chart, on the daily chart, overall trend is very bullish, but now on the hourly chart, it's not so hot, right? If we continue to see weakness, Luna can break through below this particular area potential support. If that happens, there's nothing for me to do on this chart. For example, right here, the price just decides to slice through and be like, fuck all y'all, okay? Well, I'm not in the chart in the first place because it's not doing what I wanted to do. The only way I'm participating Luna to the long side is this. I'm gonna say it again, broken record coming through. Price is trading at currently $85. I need price to come in, just kind of glide into my pocket of support, and from here, continues to bounce out of here, giving me a trigger on the 15-minute time frame. I like a nice soft landing, staircasing down, because I like to utilize that 200 moving average on the daily chart. So as price continues to sell off, kind of glide in here, that moving average on the 200 moving average kind of roll over this way. You see what I mean? So this is how you kind of see the move before the move. Now if I have this abrupt, this violent move to the downside, selling off, closing below that 200 moving average, nothing for me to do. And that's how you make from decision to decision, because most of the time there's nothing for you to do in the charts until the chart performs the way that you want it to. Okay, let's go through some of my watch list. Keeping it boring, okay. Costco's been performing excellent to the upside. But over here, this is where you gotta be very, very disciplined. You're not gonna be chasing this high. You gotta be like, listen, I'm waiting for the next pullback. A pullback such as this or something smaller. I have to find my 3-price relationship. Without that in place, there's nothing for me to do on this chart. For those of y'all on this call, we got a couple of new people in here. I want you guys to know I do use Twitter quite often. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm a high performance coach, okay? In Fibonacci swing trading and also weight loss. No bullshit. So if you're on this call, okay, you guys can look at this. If you're interested in weight loss, I have the solution. This is not bullshit. This is what I do day in and day out, weekly. I do this protocol day in and day out. And it's not just about your diet. It's not just about doing your exercises. You got to understand how your body works. So if you guys want to talk more about that, leave it in the comments, because I can definitely go through this in greater detail. Now, looking at your life, looking at your trading life, it's very similar to how you run your life in every area. Because if you are a mess, if you don't know what you're doing in your personal health, if you're not disciplined with your nutrition, you're not disciplined with your sleep, if you don't have any discipline with your exercises, you don't know how to detox, you don't know how to clean your small and large intestines, you're chronically constipated, like I was. I had a lot of health issues. You're not going to be performing, because you're going to cut corners. If you don't know what your trading plan is, or if you don't make commitments to yourself, from your nutrition standpoint, your exercising standpoint, you're going to open up your trading platform and you're going to cut corners and bend all your rules. And you're going to look at yourself at the end of the day and be like, what the hell just happened? What did I just do? Because you're not planning ahead like I am right now. I'm looking at Luna. I'm not buying until it starts to do what I want it to do. And those are the important key decisions you need to be making day in and day out. Not just about trading, but other areas of your life as well, okay? Let's take a quick look, see what else we want to look at. We looked at Harmony over here. This is also a very bearish chart. So starting to sell off. Closing below that 200 moving average on the daily. Over here, we had a nice burst to the upside. But since then, more downside. So what you can do, some people there were to say, oh, go here and buy. I ain't like that. No, I am not doing that. I just don't understand why people do that. How I'm looking for some resistance to the downside. That's what I can do. That's what I know to do. If I want to go long, the best looking chart right now, you have to find charts that are trading above that 200 moving average on the daily, right? Over here, I just don't know if there are any charts that's doing that except Luna. Do you know any other crypto charts right now trading above that 200 moving average on the daily chart? That should be your starting point to think about if I want to go long on a particular product, right? Over here, FTT also below. Mana also below. It was exhibiting a nice series of higher highs and higher lows above that 200 on the daily. But since then, what happened? Weakness came through on this chart, and now it's trading below. So you have to look at this to the downside. And I'm not really good at just picking these bottoms, right? Where's the energy going? It's trending down, right? Series of lower highs and lower lows. So from here, looking for potential areas of pockets of resistance. So over here I can say, all right, pivot low, pivot high, pivot low. That would be my first. Where else is exhibiting similar dollar amount? Pullbacks. Over here I have another pullback, right? So that's two pullbacks right there. And I like to find some fib retracements that could be matching up over here. So over here, this is a 50% retracement right here. So if you're shorting this, the first thing you got to do, look for a pullback right here. Now, if it starts to shoot up above here, nothing for you to do. The only thing that we can do anything with this chart, if it starts to exhibit what you want, which is a pullback into a planned area of resistance from here, sawing off to the downside, giving you a trigger on the 15-minute time frame. It has to exhibit this behavior. It's saying, okay, I'm going to respect your planned resistance from here. I'm going to start to sell off the way that you planned. Just like over here with Goldman Sachs. You guys can go back into my video. So we're looking at a shorting opportunity right here. I forgot on which day I talked about this. Let's just go through it real quick. But this was a short setup, right? So I can look on my channel. I'm going to type in Goldman Sachs over here on the 29th. I went through the short setup. So over here, back into my trading platform, 29th was right here. So over here on this bar, I made a video with this. Looking at this chart, I was saying, hey, price seems to be respecting that pocket of resistance. From here, more downside correction. Now, there are some expert traders that are out there. They're very good at picking these potential bottoms. Counter trending. So let's dissect this, because masters are out there. They're making from decision to decision. They're shorting at these overbought conditions, and they're buying at these oversold conditions. So I want to show you over here, we do have some support. Over here, this one pullback, this pullback, $39.13. This is very interesting, guys. I just want you guys to study this chart again and again. I don't participate in these moves, but you guys can see once you become advanced, maybe I'll become advanced one day. I kind of just go with the trend. The trend is trading below that 200 on the daily and hourly chart. I'm shorting this thing. But there are people that are taking this bounce in the markets. They're that good. I'll show you how to do it. So over here, this one pulled back $39.13. Okay, continues to move to the upside. Over here, what's this pullback? $38.79. Now I'm going to use my Fibonacci extensions. I'm going to click from that pivot high, pivot low, projecting it to that pivot high. You can see over here, this move is very, very similar to this one over here, and also this one over here. Pivot high, pivot low, pivot high. Bam. So that's how people are taking these bounces in the markets. They kind of bounce from demand to resistance, from resistance back down to the demand over and over again, So they map these things out. And that's how some expert traders out there, that's what they do. It's really amazing, you know. So now this is also a two-price relationship, and this is some other expert things that they do. They look for extensions to the downside. If they click from that pivot low to pivot high, I'm not getting really anything to match up right there. So this is still a two-price relationship, not a three-price relationship. I don't participate in these. I have to find a three-price relationship. But recognizing that there are demand levels in the markets, there are resistance areas in the markets, and we kind of just go from decision to decision. That's what we do. If you're in this live chat this evening, or wherever you are in this world, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. You know, anything you want me to look over, be happy to look over for you. So if there are no questions, I'm just going to close out on this. Follow me on my Twitter, okay? Follow me on my YouTube channel. Leave questions for me, be happy to get them to you. If you have questions about my tweets, questions about my weight loss program, okay? Just love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for watching this broadcast, and I will talk to you soon.